All right, in hindsight number 22, this is probably gonna be my last one about my dad, because like, I don't know, I'm still reflecting on certain things. Some things I can reflect on my own. I don't really see like, I don't know. I'm just, whatever ones I write down, that's the ones I make videos about. Certain things like I'll talk about or I'll think about, whatever. I don't really see the point of making a video about it. But 22. Now this one didn't hurt me personally, but it, and this is why, okay, yeah, so this one is relative. Okay, so my dad was very abusive to my brother, my mother and my brother, but mostly my brother. He wasn't abusive to me physically. He was very verbally and very verbally, emotionally, physically abusive to my brother. He did a lot of fucked up things to my brother, and that in turn affected me because I was younger, and for the reasons why he was doing these things to my brother, it really made me mad, because I'm like, okay, so I can remember a time, and it always had to do with like some kind of chore, and it was always like around like the garbage, right? I always had to deal with the garbage. So I remember one night, it was like in the middle of the night, my brother didn't take out the garbage, something to that effect, like he didn't take it to the curb or some shit like that, some shit with the garbage. And my dad woke my brother up from his sleep, threw him down the stairs, and then threw a TV on him. Like, I don't know if you remember the TVs. We're not talking about a flat screen. We're talking about them tube TVs, them big ass TVs. Yeah, and our TVs used to be heavy as hell. So yeah, he threw my brother down the stairs and threw a TV on him. And you know, my mom, she was there, and you know, she said her piece, like she was upset, da 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 da. But in my head, that was too much. That was over the top for him not taking out the trash. You know what I mean? Like throwing him down the stairs and waking him up out of his sleep, dragging him out of his bed and throwing him down the stairs and then throwing the television on him. That's a little excessive for not taking the trash out. And then like kind of the next one after that really pissed me off. And it was also dealing with the trash. He didn't take the trash out. So while my brother was sleeping, he pulled a gun out on my brother and held the gun to my brother's face and was getting on him like he was on some like trying to be gangster shit, like, you ain't take out this fucking trash, you want, like, just crazy for fucking garbage. And like, that's one thing I said I would never put up with. I would never. Like, I was pissed off with both my parents. I was pissed off with my mom because to me, she let that happen. Like, she just, you know, she never stood up for him. She never protected him in my eyes. And of course I was pissed off with my dad, because I'm like, you're ridiculous. Like, you're pulling a gun out and doing all this abusive shit. It's excessive. So now these two videos put together, the previous video with him, like, you know, doing that whole hours in the store and not buying me anything, and then this one as far as like being very abusive to boys, those coincide with my present life. So and that's kind of what happened with me and my husband. My husband was displaying abusive traits to my kids, and I said definitely not. And as soon as he displayed those things to me, when he was yelling at my kids and yoking my kids up and threatening them, the next day I told him he had to leave. I was not gonna repeat that cycle with my kids. If I don't feel safe with you with my kids, and my kids don't feel safe with you, you can't be here. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I'm not doing that shit. And I was on some, you can do whatever you want to me, but my kids, and now I'm on some, you can't do that shit to me, and you can't do it to my kids. Like, it don't matter who it is, you ain't doing it to none of us. So I was just not gonna put up with that shit. So yeah, my husband tried to do that, you know, tried to be abusive to my kids, and I was just like, you gotta go. And I was very serious, like, and it took him a while. It took him 2 months, but I was not doing what my mother did. I didn't care if I didn't have enough money. I wasn't thinking about none of that stuff. I wasn't thinking about none of that. My kids are more important than anything. I was not going to let that cycle repeat with my kids. So then fast forward too, my dad was on the same shit. Like, we had 2 incidents. One incident happened, cause like we live in an apartment complex, or we live like far in the back. And I remember one week actually, it was a whole week. Cause like, you know, I'm staying with my dad or whatever, and my kids were taking out the trash. So I was like, okay, that's the least we can do, whatever, we can take out the trash. So they were taking out the trash. I remember one week, it rained every day. It was raining hard every day. So the trash piled up because it was raining. And mind you, my dad has a car. He doesn't work. He doesn't have a full-time job. He has a car. Does not work every day. So he let the trash pile up for a whole week. And oh wait, no, I'm sidetracked. That's the second one. One day or whatever, they went to take out the trash. He told them to take out the trash, and then they came in right after. So he was like, y'all didn't take out the trash that fast. So he was like, no, one of the maintenance guys offered to take it to the trash. He yells at my kids and tells them, you can't give people our trash because they could go through our trash and get our information and da-da-da-da-da. Don't y'all ever do that shit again. Da-da-da. Yelled at them, right? That was the first one. I said, okay. Second time, like I said, it was like a whole week. They weren't able to take out the trash because it was pouring rain. And he already told them they can't give the trash to nobody because they're going to go through our trash. And I'm like, what? You don't have nothing. Nobody want. Anyway. So, the trash piled up for like a whole week. So, right when we was about to take out the trash, it's a big, it was like after the whole week, the trash piled up. My dad comes to my son, and he starts yelling at my son, yeah, why you let this trash pile up for a whole week? Going off on my son. So I hear him yelling at my son about this trash. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. I was like, first of all, it's been raining all week. I said, you could have drove them to the trash if it was such a big deal, or you could have drove to the trash yourself. So we just blow up. I go off on him, he going off on me. I said, we out of here. Fuck this place. I said, I take my kids to my mother-in-law's house. So we go over there. I'm trying to shorten this story because I'm getting to the mean part of it. But he lies and tells his family that my son was bucking at him. It goes with the gaslighting again, the lying. And I'm just like, yeah, you're done. Because he used to also do that. He used to take my kids to the bookstore and the toy store and won't buy them nothing for hours. So he was repeating the same thing he did to me with them. And then he started doing that abusive shit to my son, the way he did to my brother. And I said no. So guess what? You're going to take out your own trash. And you're not taking my kids nowhere. I don't care how much you want to spend on that, how much you want to shop. He uses those things to manipulate people. He's a very transactional person. And I told my kids this. I said, listen, he's a transactional person. He don't care about you. He don't really love you. When he used to buy you those things, it's to buy your loyalty. It's to buy your time. But it's not because he loves you and he wants to buy you something and he cares about you. Everything is transactional. Even doing the trash. Transactional. So yeah. I saw that pattern and I was like, it's gonna stop. So hindsight number